The Bengals beat the Chiefs 27-24. Joe Burrow. This is his third time beating Patrick Mahomes head-to-head.
For that, I love him.
Hard to do.
For that, I love him.
It's the first time. Only guy who's done it
Brady,
many times has been Tom Brady. And we know Joe Burrow, Tom Brady, both all-time great quarterbacks. Definitely different tiers of it. Tom Brady's the GOAT. But Joe Burrow's trending that way. Joe Shiesty.
Trending what way?
As one of the best all-time
What
to
the
play
fuck?
the position.
What are you doing?
Joe Burrow's going to go down as an all-time great.
Let's calm down. Let's calm down. Let's let him play his second full season in the NFL first.
I'll allow this with Mahomes. All right, I will
Mahomes,
allow
yeah,
that statement.
Mahomes
with
is valid.
What are we doing?
Why is that crazy?
Why can't Burrow just be great and that's it?
He is
Why
great.
can't it just be isolated?
He is
Why do we always gotta
great.
gas it?
I think, what do you mean gas it? What do you mean?
One of the greatest we've ever seen.
Bro, like,
Joe Burrow's been phenomenal.
Let's relax.
It's too early.
There's
way,
nobody
way,
that's
way
done
too
what
early.
he's done in his first full season in the NFL, going to a Super Bowl appearance.
He didn't
what are
win.
we talking about? But he made it.
But he didn't win.
He
There's
made
no
it
hardware.
though. He made it. He won an AFC Championship. Right now in the Bengals
You keep
facility.
that same energy for Tatum?
Right now in the Bengals facility, they have the AFC Championship
in the
trophy in
Bengals
it.
facility.
Just say the number one pick.
What do you mean? I think Jason Tatum's going to go down as an all-time great
I
Celtic.
was gonna say,
He's also in year 7.
because also Big Ben had the most wins to start a career out of any quarterback outside of Russell Wilson.
And he was an all-time great.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
he
after the
got
fact.
to that.
Russell Wilson is an all-time great,
Yeah, after
despite
the
the
fact.
horrible season this year, right?
Didn't you tell me that Matt Ryan's more of a Hall of Famer than Russell Wilson?
No, I did not.
You did.
I said then Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, he
Stop
said
lying.
Stafford. He said
Stop
Stafford. He
lying.
said Stafford.
Stop lying.
Could have been
I'm
Russell.
pretty sure. I'm almost positive
No, it
he
was
said
not.
Russ,
No.
bro.
I hope
I'm
not.
almost
Let's get on to the
positive.
Bengals
Okay,
and
my
Chiefs,
bad.
though.
Let's go.
I don't know about you guys, but this was one of the best games I've watched all year.
It's very good.
I'm just looking at the biggest plays of the game. Deep pass to MVS at the beginning of the second half. Mahomes to MVS. They scored a touchdown. Mahomes, the touchdown dive in the end zone to take the 24-17 lead. He got sandwiched, and he still was able to make that play.
He went Michael Jordan right there. It was crazy.
But I think the biggest game changer of the play was the Jermaine Pratt fumble on Travis Kelce, just ripping him. It was a controversial call, forward progress, whatever. But that changed the game. That led to a 10-play, 53-yard drive, touchdown drive. Joe Burrow to Chris Evans on like a broken coverage.
Yep.
They took the lead 27-24, and then Osai sacking Mahomes, and that was really the game right there.
Mm-hmm.
Lou and Arumo.
I'll say this really quick, and then you can do what you
Third
wanna
11,
do.
third and 11.
No, I only say that Butker. It's a 55-yarder. It's a difficult field goal to make, no doubt. You're Harrison Butker. You're in that elite class
able
of
to hit
kickers. You should make that. It's not an excuse on why the Chiefs lost to the Bengals. That being said, you need to make it.
Special teams has been an issue for the Chiefs for the majority of the season.
Low key, because Butker's been hurt.
The Bengals are rolling. They're rolling.
They are.
4 straight wins.
Some good wins, too.
2 of them, it came without Jamar Chase. For all those that say Joe Burrow's a Jamar Chase merchant, T. Higgins has solidified himself as a true wide receiver number 1.
All knowers knew this
I was going to
already,
say,
though.
the real new.
Yeah.
The pass protection before this game, Next Gen Stats, they were ranked 30th in pass pro. This game, they were amazing. The Chiefs had their lowest QB pressure percentage of the season. They only pressured Burrow on 15.6% of snaps. Burrow did get pressured 26 times. He only took 1 hit, I believe, or 1 sack. So Burrow's being much better at getting the ball out, not taking sacks. That was a flaw he had last year. And since week 5, the Bengals are number 1 in run success rate from the gun, number 2 in EPA per rush from the gun. P. Ryan, he looks better than Joe Mixon. And last year, a lot of people questioned why P. Ryan was the third down back over Mixon. It's because he's a good pass protector. He can pass block. Joe Mixon is not quite on that level. But it's another elite defensive performance by Lou Anarumo. I hope I get that right. He's an elite play caller, and he should be in talks to be a head coach this upcoming season in the offseason for a new team. He did a fantastic job showing Mahomes different looks. He did it in the entire playoff run to every team he faced, including the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. The Bengals this year have beaten the Jets, an in-the-hunt playoff team, a team you think is going to make the playoffs, though.
With Joe Flacco?
But Joe Flacco's better than Zach. And Zach went 5-2.
I mean,
They should have won.
All right,
the early Jets
We're
game
not
doesn't
talking
really-
enough. We're not talking about the Jets.
But the Jets had an elite defense there, would you say?
I feel like the defense kind of came along a little
Okay.
bit later, but whatever.
But they beat the Jets, a playoff team.
Joe Flacco.
They beat the Dolphins. They beat the Titans.
Back up.
And they beat the
Titans,
Chiefs.
Oh,
The Titans,
those-
the Titans was a great
Yeah,
win.
Titans won.
The
I
Titans
am
was an
counting the
excellent
Dolphins
win.
one because when Tua was in the game, they played well against
yeah,
them.
it was
So
early,
it
though.
would have been a
Tua was out for
toss
2.5
up.
quarters.
It would have been
I
a
was gonna
toss up
say.
either way. It's whatever. These
They
are
lost,
four of the
though.
top teams in the AFC. The Jets, you don't place them there, but these are four of the top teams in the AFC. The Bengals beat all of them. Now, when talking about the best team in the AFC, the Chiefs, they're still up there for me. I know they lost to the Bengals. The Bengals have had their number. But if you said the Bengals are the best team in the AFC, I wouldn't be mad at you.
It's funny you say that because on my list of teams that I have the Bengals as the best team in football. And that's only because they seem the most complete to me. I look at the Chiefs and I don't love their defense. Mahomes is Mahomes. Yes, he can win you games with minimal weapons. Of course, Kelsey is one of the elite of the elite. He is the elite of the elite. He's the best tight end in the game. But outside of that, there's no reliable option. Of course, Mahomes is going to elevate these guys. That was a question of mine that I had. He's completely taking that narrative and throwing it in the trash. But the defensive side of things, you can't really trust it. The Bills, similarly. You looked it up before the show. They're still 7th in pass DVOA defensively. I just don't believe in their defense as confidently as, let's say, the Jets. Of course, the Jets have probably the best defense in the AFC, but the offense is a question. I look at the Bengals. Their offense is still one of the premier in the AFC. I look at their defense. It's still one of the better in the AFC, where it's not all world. It's not the best of the NFL. It's still better than the Chiefs. Bills probably you still would take slightly, but as a whole, I think the Bengals are the most complete team in the AFC.
It's not crazy to say.
It's not ridiculous to say. And I tweeted out that we don't talk about my Bengals take enough from last year.
Are you going to flip side right now?
No, because I can still be right on it. Ultimately, my
You don't talk about how wrong you were?
What
my-
was the take?
It's because
my
there's
final
people that
point-
they like to point out more than you know.
my final point basically was the Bengals had an easy road to the playoffs, and that's how they got to the Super Bowl. Although they beat the Chiefs, I gave them credit for that, which I could still be right on. If they lose in the first or second round, and be like, it's hard to go to the playoffs, right? It's hard to go to the Super Bowl, I should say. But this Bengals team right now, you can make the argument. You definitely can. It's not ridiculous to say, and the main reason for that is because they have the Chiefs number. And with that being said, the Chiefs are due. The Chiefs are due to get one over the Bengals. You don't
Are
lose
they?
3 games in a
I
row
don't
by
know.
a field goal here or there. Some weird things happen. That playoff game in the second half, things don't go your way. So that doesn't mean when the time comes, if it comes in the playoffs, that I wouldn't select the Chiefs to beat the Bengals. They'll probably have home field advantage as
Did it
well.
last year.
But they did for sure. But right now, you could definitely make the argument because, I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons, right? You talked about Samaje really coming on, who I thought was honestly a scrub, right? And I'm not a big Joe Mixon fan either. But offensively, the thing that we talk about a lot of teams is you need more weapons. It's always more, right? We even talk about it with KC. You have Kelsey, but these surrounding guys are solid but not great. Even the Bills, you're a big Gabe Davis guy. We still view him as a high-end 3, low-end 2, at least me. But the Bengals, not only do they have Jamar Chase, but they have the 2 other guys that surround it with T. Higgins, who is a number 1 wide receiver, and Tyler Boyd, who had the dropped touchdown, which is unfortunate. Tyler Boyd, you give him that throw 100 times, he's catching it 99.9% of the time, right? It was just one bad drop. So they have the weapons to, even if you have one great corner or you have a great secondary, it doesn't matter. You have too many guys out there with Joe Burrow's accuracy, his poise in the pocket. When you have to make a play in the fourth quarter and overtime, Joe Burrow and Mahomes are probably the 2 top quarterbacks you want to lead you down that drive. That is how poised Joe Burrow has become since entering the NFL. The leaps he has taken is not one to really talk about compared to the Josh Allens of the world, Jalen Hurts this year, Tua this year, just because he tore his ACL year 1 and people weren't really expecting him to go to the Super Bowl year 2. But Joe Burrow has, without a doubt, taken that leap year 2, and year 3, he's just continuing what he's doing. And you mentioned the defense as well. We've talked about it, for the last couple months. They just don't have that big name player that gives them that respect. They don't have that Bosa. They don't have a Myles Garrett. They don't have a Sauce Gardner in the secondary that we look at and be like, damn, this guy's elite. But they have a bunch of guys who play sound football, a bunch of guys who really don't make mistakes. They play their role really well. And this Bengals team, if you're looking at the AFC, nobody wants to play them. The way they play the Chiefs, nobody wants to play them. Them, the Bills, and Kansas City, I think, are in the tier 1 in the AFC right now. I think Miami is in tier 2.
Miami in tier 1?
They're in tier 2.
The defense is not.
They're in tier 2. You can't have Brock Purdy do what he did. But I mean, the Bengals are
Offensive line's
phenomenal.
still bad too.
Yeah,
Without Teron
Without
Armstead,
Armstead,
it's a
for
joke
sure.
actually.
That's very interesting. So Miami, what you said? Miami was tier 2.
tier 2. They're top tier 2. Yes, they might. be the only team in tier 2, honestly. Like
Who,
You don't have your
Dolphins?
Baltimore in there no more? That's dead? Dead in the waters?
Lamar knee injury out
So
1 to 3
do you,
weeks.
do you have them ranked out or no? Because
I don't.
I have it listed. I have Cincinnati. I have the Chiefs. I have Bills and Miami together. I really can't lean one over the other, just for the fact that obviously Miami still does have an explosive offense. When Teron Armstead's there, I expect the blocking to be a lot better than it was.
That would depend a lot on who's home.
Abso-
If the Bills are home,
absolutely.
I'm pretty comfortable with the Bills. Miami's home, it is a toss-up.
That's a fair point, especially because we still haven't seen Tua in cold weather, and as a Tua fan,
It was
I
breezy
still
in
can't hide
San
from that.
Fran that day.
No,
No, it actually was really breezy.
we'll talk about it later. But then I have Tennessee, Baltimore, and then the Chargers. Chargers and Baltimore could be interchangeable as
The
well.
Baltimore will not make the playoffs.
You don't have the Jets with the Chargers?
The defense definitely is one that you have to account for because they are the best defense in the AFC, but the schedule does worry me. I don't know if they'll. I'm being real. I don't know if you guys will make that last seed. And another sleeper team,
The Chargers
Raiders,
have to win out, basically.
Exactly. The Chargers have to win out also, and the Raiders have been playing decent football.
They have what's their record?
I think right now they're a game.
They're 5-7. probably
5-7.
right now.
Are
So
they?
the Jets have 2 games.
The
on
Raiders
them.
have to win
two,
out.
two.
The Raiders
Yeah.
have to win out.
Yeah.
They still have a
The
chance.
Chargers are facing the Dolphins, Titans, Colts,
They've been
Rams,
clutching
and Broncos
recently.
next.
They should have clutched in the beginning.
Okay.
They would have been in.
That sounds like there might be a couple else
OD.
on
They
there.
were choking OD.
But the Ravens look like the team that are going to fall out. If you have Huntley in there for 1 to if it's 3 weeks, I don't
This
see
what
a
happened
world.
last year, right?
Yeah, and they went 0-5 with him, I want to say.
Shame.
They didn't win a game. He was putting up decent passing numbers, but the team obviously loses a step when you don't have Lamar Jackson.
We understand the greatness of Joe Burrow, and you talked about the leap. The reason why we don't view Joe Burrow as him taking this leap is because
He's been nice.
he's been elite.
He's been nice.
So it's the small improvements take him from before the season. I had him as the 5th best quarterback in the NFL. Patting myself on the chest for that.
You needed that.
The improvements he's made this year
Pal.
has taken him from number 5 to there's a debate he's number 2. He's the 2nd best quarterback in the NFL right now. Aaron Rodgers has dropped out in that.
Yes.
Tom Brady has
Yes.
dropped out in that.
Herbert.
And Josh, I never had Herbert over Burrow.
Really?
Never is a
Before
is
the
a
in the
fallacy.
offseason, in the offseason, I didn't.
God,
In the
I hate
off-
when
you're
you
talking
do
about
that.
2 years ago, bro. In the
That's
offseason,
why
I did
both
not
fans
have
gave
Burrow
it-
over Herbert.
both
And,
fans said-
and each week I would come here and you guys would say, "Oh no,
Wait,
Herbert
Joel,
clears."
Joel.
I never wavered
Can I ask you a
once.
question? Has Herbert looked mid to you this year?
He hasn't been Joe Burrow,
Quick question. If you
Is
had
that
Burrow
his-
at 5, where was Herbert?
Interesting.
huh?
If you had Burrow at 5 for the season,
6.
where's okay.
They were neck
It was
and neck.
6.
So it was Rodgers and Brady.
Rodgers, Brady, Allen, Mahomes.
They deserve that respect.
No, I was just wanted to make sure.
But
So,
right now with Joe, like we know Joe Burrow is him. It's simple as that. I want to really talk about Lou Anarumo for a little bit because this defense is one of the best defenses in the NFL, and they lost Chidobe Awuzie, their best corner. Right now, their corners are Eli Apple, Cam Taylor-Britt, Mike Hilton, who's a great slot. I love their safeties, Von Bell and Jesse Bates.
Yep.
But their secondary, they don't have these elite level corners, but you don't see them getting gashed. And that's because Anarumo has been one of the best defensive coordinators in the game, and them getting DJ Reader back makes their run game elite. Trey Hendrickson is one of the best edge
a
rushers
dog.
in the game.
Absolutely.
Nobody talks about him enough. But Joe Burrow has earned his seat at the table with Patrick Mahomes and Josh
No,
Allen.
he is.
Since the
Patrick
start of
Mahomes.
last season, Joe Burrow has the best passer rating in the NFL. He's 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes and never lost. No other quarterback can say that to the level Joe Burrow can. 19 consecutive games with a
rating.
passing touchdown, the longest active streak currently in the NFL. And Joe Burrow against any team not named the Steelers this year, which was 2 games, 19 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, a 109 passer rating, and really, Joe Burrow's only bad game was week 1 where he threw 4 interceptions.
What about
but
against the Browns?
The second matchup, he had 4 touchdowns to 2 interceptions and a 104 passer rating. Joe Burrow wasn't great elite against the Browns. He was solid. He wasn't bad. His only bad game was the Steelers game.
He wasn't that good against the Ravens either.
It wasn't a horrible game. No, I'm just saying, like his
200
only
yards, a touchdown,
his only
interception, 82
stinker,
passer rating.
his only stinker
Wasn't good.
was
It was
against
mid.
his only stinker
Looked
was
like
against the
playoffs,
Steelers.
basically.
When we talk about Joe Burrow right now,
This
he's
is
been to a
interesting.
Super Bowl, did something in his second season that no other number 1 overall pick can say. This is coming off an ACL injury. And the Bengals right now are better than they were last year. They're a Super Bowl contending team.
For sure.
And guess what? It's because of Joe Burrow. The team deserves his credit for sure. But we're only talking about the Bengals because Joe Burrow's their quarterback. That's a fact. You know that.
It's not a crazy statement at all.
No, it's not. It's just
It's interesting.
you put Herbert in that situation. He's probably being talked to as number 2 as well.
It's very interesting.
You know, there's a bunch of guys.
Listen,
that
you
do it,
see
and
what
that's no
happens when you
discredit
get
to Burrow.
when you get a great supporting cast.